Hello, everyone. I am Tana Bengoa, and I'm here today with my friend Geri Habstritt. And we are here to talk to you today a little bit about not only the full moon and the full moon that's coming up here in April, but we're talking about transmuting energy and why doing that with fire and with the full moon energy is a very powerful tool that we can use in our lives. And Geri and I were having a conversation earlier about some research that she found out about. So she's going to tell you all about that. And so we're excited to kind of just pass this information on to you, and hopefully that you can use this next week during the full moon and transmute some things that you need to get taken care of. So Geri, why don't you take it away?
Okay, so when the full moon starts showing up like it is right now, we're already like entering the energy of it. Plus, we're in a Mercury retrograde, right? So Mercury retrograde is the energy of pulling you backwards so you can relook, review, revisit all those re-words. So the old stuff is coming up. The old relationships that aren't resolved are coming up, right? The whatever, the anger, anything that you're still carrying in your body that you haven't resolved with love or with forgiveness is here now for you to look at. And as the full moon comes up, it's like saying, what are you full of, right? So it amplifies this energy in a retrograde. So now these energies that aren't resolved are bigger. They're literally in your face right now. We're all looking straight into a mirror, starting like today. Where
So
we
why is that when the full moon isn't until next Tuesday? So we're what, 4 or 5 days out yet? So how tell us a little bit about that window that you're talking about of starting today. Why is it starting today?
well, it as the moon gets fuller, it already begins. The fuller it gets, the more power, the more energy. So
Okay.
as it adds more fullness to it, it adds more energy to it, right? The moon
Uh-huh.
regulates the tides of the water. It has such power,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so and right now it's just a key energetic moment right now. There's some other aspects to it as well. Part of it being this Mercury retrograde, part of it being an alchemical transformation full moon.
Tell us a
And
little bit more about that. I mean, a lot of people may not know what the heck you're talking about when you say that.
right, well, we're in a period of time where um, the spirals of ascension energy are going up, or there's a spiral of energy shooting down. So if you are in victim consciousness, or you are in any of those energies that maybe have difficult energies that may have trapped you in the past, it can be easy to whipsaw you downward very quickly.
Hmm.
Or likewise, if you have the intention saying, okay, I'm ready to be done with this all, I'm ready to lift, the lifting energies are going very, very fast the other way. So due to these spins of both of them, it's literally spinning the five medicines of our body, our mental, our spiritual, our emotional, our physical, and then in the middle is consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all being given this opportunity right now to stand in the middle and lift in consciousness so
Mm-hmm. I
that we
love that.
can so that we can see and do things in a different way than we've done before,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's all happening right now with an application, an amplification. Everything's being amplified.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
we've got this full moon amplifying. We've got this Mercury retrograde saying, here, let me help you out and really show you the past.
You know, I love that you say that, Geri, because so much, the little bit that I know about retrogrades or what I've heard about retrogrades, you usually typically hear people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm just getting this is beating me up," right? And so I love that you say this retrograde can help us. So that's what we're looking. That's why we're making this video, because we want to bring some awareness around these ideas, and we want to help you move through this season in a very victorious way, right?
Right, Right. And I know too, I've had the same experience with retrogrades back when I was in the divorcing experience, 7 years of divorce. Every time a retrograde would show up, another affidavit would come, another experience with my ex-husband that I didn't like, which would be in my face again. And that's why people don't like them, because the unresolved stuff is back in your face.
Okay.
So all you got to do is look at it and resolve it, right? But
Yeah.
it means looking in the mirror,
Yeah.
right? So if something comes towards me and it's triggering anger within me, that means
Hmm.
I need to go look at me and find out, why am I angry with me?
Yes. Yes.
As opposed to blaming it on the incident that triggered my emotions.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. The whole idea of mirrors, and not only are there so many things that can be mirrors for us, other people can be mirrors for us. Things that we judge can be mirrors for us. There's a lot of ways that we are given the impetus to create some change in our own lives by pointing that finger. I love, my daughter has a tattoo on her index finger pointing back at herself to remind herself that when she points a finger at someone else, that there's three pointing back at her. So I love this, that it's like, okay, it's a gift to be able to look at our stuff, as difficult as it is. And I another segue that you just mentioned about the fire, or about the yes, about the fire. And I love what you shared with me earlier about the study in Japan. Can you tell us a little bit about that? About because you have fire burning in your background there, and we're wanting to do some of that fire burning. So tell us a little bit about that and how we can use that at this time as well.
Right. Well, typically, the full moons is people come together and they'll have ceremony. And so many ceremonies are conducted around fire.
Hmm.
And fire is transformative. It's the energy of transformation. It
Hmm.
can literally burn up that which is not for your highest, or it can reveal to you things that you need to see. It'll show up in a different way. For me, I can put things in a fire, and in my dream state at night, it'll reveal to me the greater message that I'm looking for. And if you think of the Kundalini energy, which is a fire that rises through the body, it transmutes all the lower frequency energies. It transmutes them and burns them. So the job of the fire, and there's a little purple in it, that's why I grabbed it. It's like the violet ray of transmutation. So
Hmm.
as all this stuff from Mercury retrograde is like, here's the mirror, take a look. What is it that you still need to
Hmm.
resolve? Usually it's some kind of forgiveness towards the self, some kind of
Hmm.
mercy that we need to have towards
Yeah.
the self.
Hmm.
And now we got a full moon saying, okay, I'm going to make it big. So you're feeling this and you're not going to miss it. Right. So now we can
Yeah.
gather around the fire, and we could sit and take that energy out of us and write it on paper. You
Hmm.
use your arm and you write it out. You don't use the computer, because it's a flow of energy that's coming out through the arm, and just
Hmm.
start writing. And it can be a whole bunch of swear words. And as you get out the surface anger, then more clarity starts to arise.
Hmm.
Sometimes it might be F, 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 F. And then
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, this is what I'm mad about. Sometimes you don't even know.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I think that is the problem. I know I face that sometimes. It's like, well, gee, I don't know what to write. I mean, even with the regular just releasing of the full moon, it's like, well, what do I want to release? What is no longer serving me? And sometimes we just need that catalyst to get it going and unlock that subconscious, to where we can figure out I'm sure there's stuff that we're all holding. And one of the other words that you just used that some people may not be aware of, I think most of us are, but what is the difference between, what is transmute? What does transmute mean versus, say, transform?
Well, transmute is to take one energy and like alchemical transformation, right? The
Hmm.
energy of it shifts and it turns into something else.
Yes, yes.
So you can, and that's what we are physically in our bodies right now. If we've said yes, are in an alchemical transformation. So if your
Mm-hmm.
intention is to transform into the highest version of yourself for
Mm-hmm.
this lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
um, that energy is coming in and doing that transformation alchemically with inside of us. And that can look like a lot of different things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it can happen in not so kind ways. It can happen in easy ways. And if you choose to look at what's coming up, my sense is that it'll be easier for you, right? If that's your path and your choice.
Yeah.
And you can call in, I choose to be the highest version of myself, but I'd like to do this with ease and grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're open, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I love the story, and I think stories convey so much more than even just sharing information. I loved when you came back from Ecuador and you asked me if you could come over and use my fire pit to burn some documents, and then the other part of the story that you just shared with me today, if you're open to sharing that with
Yeah.
our audience, I just think it's so cool, because you just can't really make this stuff up the way this, that's a pretty big thing that happened for you if you're open to
Right.
sharing.
Right. I have quite a few fire experiences. So if you're doubting the fire, don't doubt the fire. So with my 7-year divorce, of course, there was a lot of emotions around it, lots of anger, lots of sadness, lots of pain, lots of drama, all of that. Okay. So all of those end up in the papers, they end up in the affidavits, they end up in the court records. And 7 years, I had piles of it.
I
And
bet.
it came very clear to me that I needed to have a fire. I needed to burn this stuff because you're still
Mm-hmm.
holding on to the energy of it. And so I didn't have a place. I was in an apartment at the time. There was no place for me to have a fire. So I asked Hannah and I used her house. And so I burned all this paper. And as the energies on the paper, I could feel them literally transmuting within my body. So as the fire was burning them on the outside, I can feel the transmutation of all of that on the inside.
Wow.
And so not all of it was resolved. My mind was still hanging on to pieces of the divorce. So I kept recreating the experience. And at some point in my journey, I needed to hire a forensic accountant. And he ended up being in a city in North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota. And so he had a lot of my paperwork for me. And he says, Geri, where's your Where's your attorney? And I had an attorney that was just assigned to me by Legal Shield. And I gave him the name of my attorney, and my attorney ended up being exactly in the same building that he was in. And he
Wow.
said, Geri, your attorney is literally across the hall from me. I say good morning to him every single day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how does this happen?
Yeah.
So I kept trying to, you know, move along, let's move this on, let's finish this up. And my accountant kept not getting back to me, and I thought, well, maybe I should be done with this now. Maybe I should just let go of all this. And so finally I get a hold of him, and he says, Geri, an arson came and literally burnt down the building
Oh,
that
there's that fire. Big time.
both the accountant and the attorney were in, and it's all the paperwork is gone. And so all of that got transmuted, not even willingly by me. It's like this, sometimes the universe just steps in and says, this has got to go.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
so,
do it my way, not your way, right?
yeah, yeah. So that's the fire story. But I have, a couple other good fire stories. I can remember during my divorcing experience, my children, my youngest son was going back and forth at the time. They were 1 week with their dad and 1 week with me. And each time he would come back, he would have a t-shirt in his suitcase of my ex-husband. Every single time it was a different t-shirt. I'm like, what is this? Obviously, this is a lesson for me because I'm unpacking his suitcase and finding this t-shirt in there. And at the time, I was angry. I don't want his t-shirt.
Yeah.
And so I had a fire one night and I just chucked it in the fire to see what would happen. And during my dream state, it came very clear to me, something that I had to look at, why this t-shirt kept coming back. And so I saw the gift in that. Soon as I saw the gift, the t-shirts quit coming in the suitcases.
Wow. So that there was one of those mirrors again, right?
Yes,
Those
right.
situations. Hey, there's something here to look at.
Right. And that's what fire will do. It transmuted the energy of a t-shirt and it released the energy in a way that I could receive it. And for me, it's at night when I'm sleeping and my mind is off. And I can receive energies like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I had another experience like that last year when I was I moved to a new house and I was cleaning through old pictures. And my ex-husband and I were high school. We dated in high school. So I had old pictures of us at Sadie Hawkins from junior high. And I'm like, what do I do with this stuff? Do I keep it? Do I throw it? Do I burn it? Was my question. So I didn't know. I left, went to the grocery store. On my way back, there was a truck right parked in front of me. And around it was 1993. That was the year that we got married. And there was a flame around it.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing is I didn't remember the year that we got married, but because I was going through old wedding stuff, I even had our wedding announcement in front of me with 1993 on it. So I remembered. And here it was with a flame around it. And I said, well, okay. So I went home. I started a fire and there was no intention, nothing. There's this curiosity. Okay, since I was guided, let me see. And so
Mhm.
I chucked it in. And within 10 minutes, I was shown he and I as children playing in a field, showing him saying, I'm going to help you do this, and it's not going to look pretty, and I'm going to have to be a really big ass. But please remember who I am and what I came here to do for you.
Oh, I love that. That reminds me
My
of the book, The Little Soul in the Sun.
I bought that book right before our divorce, five
Oh,
of
yeah.
those books, because it called to me so strongly.
Uh-huh.
And that's why, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my heart blew open for about 4 days. I was crying about the gift of all of that. And
Yeah.
so
Wow.
that was the fire.
Yeah, that is such a powerful message, that and if you all have not read, it's actually a children's book, The Little Soul in the Sun. Super powerful message about how sometimes people in our lives do have to show up in an ugly way in order to help us, work out whatever it is that we are here to do, whatever we have made contracts with each other basically, to perform certain roles in each other's lives, to get where we are wanting to go. And so, yeah, that's really beautiful that you were able to recognize that.
Right. So something I just saw a study that showed up in my where did I see it? I get the nice news. That's the only news I watch. It's called the nice news. So it showed up in my inbox. And Japan, they did this study on releasing anger. And so they just took pieces of paper and they all just, first they triggered the people. They said some nasty things to them, whatever. And then they were told to just write out, how they felt and whatever based on this trigger. And they discovered after the test that writing out the anger helped reduce it. If they kept that sheet of paper in their possession, they didn't release it any further. But if they took that paper and balled it up and threw it in the trash or shredded it, all the anger was gone completely. And
Wow.
and fascinating because I've used this practice with my clients and with myself, but I have journals of me journaling out, frustration or anger, and I've kept them in my journals. And
Hmm.
so I came home and I'm like, I got to find all this stuff. And I had a fire and got rid of much of it. So what a great opportunity on this next full moon with this retrograde to sit down and really take a look at anything in your life that you don't want to carry forward, anything. You know,
Yes.
I'm done with this. I'm done with that. I'm done trying to save people, you know, or rescue people. I'm done, you know, I'm done putting myself second. I'm done, you know, I can, you know, whatever the list is, and you can journal more around it, release the energy of, you know, the idea is to get the energy out of you and onto the paper.
Yes.
And then we
Yes.
can send it into a fire and you know, literally wake up new the next day. But yes,
Yes.
like the study said, don't keep it. Don't keep it in your journal. Don't keep it next to your bed if you want full benefit.
Yes.
And they didn't do they didn't do the study with a fire, which would have been really cool had they taken it one step further. It was
Hmm.
just about getting it out of there, you know, throwing it or shredding it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love that. Well, the reason that Geri and I are having this conversation today, a few days ahead of the full moon, is that we did want to build some excitement around the possibilities here that we have, and really, we'll be gathering with some of our ladies that we are in a community with, Radical Connection, but we also encourage all of you, wherever you are in the world, whether it be by yourself or whether you can gather with some other people, to take advantage of not only the energy of the full moon, but also a fire ceremony, and not necessarily just writing down just what you want to release, but I love this idea that Geri has about actually, uh, writing the things down. We'll burn them, but also bringing things to whatever you're doing on that day. If you have some of those pictures or documents or journals or things that maybe have been sitting around. I know for myself personally, I have a lot of things that I have thought about doing this really for a long time, and I just don't typically follow through with it. So I'm excited and we wanted to give you guys all a little time, a little heads up, like, hey, here's a great opportunity. Take the next the weekend, starting the weekend. Take some time this weekend if you can. Go through some of those things. Do some meditation on what, or maybe some things that you haven't thought about, and just ask for those things to show up for you, so that you can take advantage of this time, to really transmute these energies.
Right. Yeah, it's a perfect moment. And I wanted to, you know, share too, you know, some of our sacred texts, you know, there's the burnings of the Library of Alexandria, and
Mhm.
I know the lost books of the scene, some of those went up in flames and fire too. And nothing's ever lost when it's burned. It can be accessed again. So if you're in a pure state that can receive it, you can actually receive the energy of these things. So fire is very cool. It's very transformative and transmuting. It's all of those things. And so yeah, use this Tuesday. Is that the date? The
Yep,
25th,
Tuesday
right?
the 23rd, I believe it is.
Is the full moon on the 25th or the 23rd?
23rd. It's on the 23rd. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Use
Yeah.
this Tuesday as an opportunity to, you know, expand and grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
Start cleaning right now. That's what I'm doing now is
Yeah.
cleaning my house, finding those things to gather together.
Yeah.
And boy, the next day your clarity will be stellar.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's put our spring cleaning on hyper mode, or whatever. What's that word? I don't think that's the right word, but on, supercharge mode or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, the word I'm looking for is escaping me, but I'm so excited that we had this opportunity. Thank you, Geri, so much for short notice. We were just chatting this morning, and I said, hey, you want to just hop on a video chat, and let's just kind of see if we can't build some excitement, for people to take advantage of this opportunity that we have. So thank you so much, Geri, for just being in flow with me today and showing up and sharing your stories. And we hope that this has been helpful for all of you, and that you'll be able to take some time and find something that you're ready to let go of and to transmute. So
Yep,
all
absolutely. So
all right.
happy full moon and transformation, everyone.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful April full moon.